I am going to do something that is really dodgy, and I don't recommend.
Oh dear. This does not look good.
That's my plan. It's not a very good plan, but let's start, shall we? G'day and welcome to part 2 of making Fantasy Froppy from My Hero Academia. So we're going to pick up pretty much exactly where we left off in part 1. If you haven't checked that out, please check that out now. But I have figured out the sizing of the flowers, and last night Terry and I sat down and we actually drew out the design for the flowers and leaves that are on the bottom of the apron and will be on the bodice as well. We created the file and we sent it over to Play by Proxy to hopefully get printed out soon. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Because I can't really start the bodice until I have the flowers, because I need to put them all on while it's flat. But there's still so much that I can work on whilst waiting for the flowers to be printed, including doing the blouse. So that is what I'm going to work on tonight. I have the fabric over there. Let me grab it. So here is the fabric, and it's really pretty. I really like it. I really don't know if there's going to be enough. In fact, I am almost certain there is not enough of this fabric to make the blouse, which makes me very sad. But I've got to take the blouse apart, look at it. I want to compare the puff sleeve that I've got there to the puff sleeve that I did on my very first milk up. Once again, that's in part 1, check it out if you haven't already. But yes, I've only got about 1 meter of this fabric, and I just don't know if that's going to be enough. The pattern says it should only be about 1 meter, but I did change the puff a little bit, so there was like extra fullness down the bottom, but I did take off some of the top, so you never know. I think I just have to lay it out and have a look. But before we go any further, you know what, this is my work gear. Let's get into something a bit more comfortable, shall we? Ah, that's much better. I'm in my pajamas. Let's start crafting, get that blouse off the dress form, unpick it, and start creating. So this is what I'm dealing with, and I think I have just enough. I'm gonna try cutting it all out and, you know, pinning it, cutting it all out, and I'm gonna piece it. So that and that needs to be on the fold. That is the widest piece. I'm gonna cut that first, then move this over to like cut this right on the edge and have that on the fold, and then that should give me just enough room for a sleeve there and then a sleeve here. And then somehow with the scraps, I need to cut out the cuff. I'll make it work. And if I can't, well, this was just sitting in my stash anyway. I'll get a new piece of fabric and we'll take 2. I managed to cut it all out of that little piece of fabric. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Like this here is what I have left of that fabric. Like there is nothing left. I did have to cut the sleeves slightly shorter, but like only a couple of mil. So you know what, I'm gonna call that a win. I'm gonna call that a win, but like that's all. All right, so I think I'm gonna have a little break, and then later tonight I'm going to start putting this together and figure out which parts I need to sew, which parts I need to do an overlock on. Yay, I've got white thread on my overlocker. Yay, I don't have to change thread. I'm sure you know what I feel, like what I'm feeling when I say that. All right, yeah. Oh, I'm just having a little moment of a celebration here. Yay! It's a little bit later in the evening, and I'm gonna call it quits for tonight because I have got the main kind of bodice part of the blouse together, and I also have the sleeves prepped. So the next step is all hand sewing. So I've gone ahead and I've pinned the inside of the cuff, which I will need to hand sew and then add the elastic in and close that up before I add this to, you know, the main part of the blouse. And for the blouse, I do need to hand sew the trim that goes around the neckline, which I have pinned. And I think it looks really cute. I'm really happy with that. It's like a really sweet little detail that's gonna take a lot of time to do, but I think it's lovely. once I have the sleeves on and this sewn, obviously, the last thing I will do will be to add the elastic to the bottom, just because I think that it's just going to be easier if that's the very last thing that I add. But yes, everything has been overlocked, so anything that is going to be a raw edge that's rubbing against my skin has been overlocked. The collar has been zigzag stitched, so that's just hiding underneath the trim, and you know, I'm just hopefully gonna make this work. So last night I went ahead and I did the sleeves. So I finished off the sleeves by doing a whole lot of very neat hand sewing around the inside of the cup. Honestly, this is some of the neatest work I think I've done hand sewing wise, and you're never going to see it. But I also then put the elastic in, sewed that up, and now I have two beautiful puff sleeves that are ready to be connected to the main bodice. Here is the main bodice, and it is what I'm going to be working on tonight. I need to go around and very, very carefully and slowly sew on the ribbon, the ruffle at the top. So that is what I'm going to do, and then it's just a matter of adding the sleeves and putting it through the elastic at the bottom, and then the blouse is done. Can I get it done tonight? Let's see if I can. Good morning. So I only got halfway through the blouse yesterday for doing the hand sewing around the neckline. It is quite time consuming, but it looks so pretty. Like, it's some of the nicest stitching I've done, at least on the outside. The inside, you can see the stitching, and I'm okay with that because hopefully they'll be against my skin. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this blouse off today. I probably won't show you guys it because honestly, it's really not much different to what has already been captured. But let's see what we put together, shall we? The blouse is complete, and as you can see, I have paired it with just one of my regular jumpsuits, and I think it looks so cute. This might actually, you know, go into my regular stash, or I may make something like this just for myself, you know, to pair with this jumpsuit, because my goodness me, it's so cute. Like, the little ruffle detail is so sweet. I just, loving it, absolutely loving it. And like I said, like, it has some of the nicest hand sewing I've ever done. And you can't see it, but it's fine. That's the whole point of nice hand sewing. The collar is standing up a little bit at the back. I probably should have made that a little bit lower. But all things aside, like, when I've got the big heavy wig on, it's gonna like push it in slightly anyway. Like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'll take it. It's not a problem. So with the blouse now done, I think that I may work on the bag, because that won't take long. I just have to I have to add some, like a bar at the back so that I can put the belt through. I've already removed the strap from it, but I'll do that, and I think I will cut out the pieces to the bodice out of the fabric, but that is as far as I can go until I have the flowers, which I still haven't heard back from Play by Proxy about how they are printing. Now, that's, you know, albeit it's been like a couple of days, and I know that there was an issue with the printer, so I'm not too stressed about that. But like, I want to, ideally I would have loved to moved on with the bodice next, so that all of the fabric side of things are done and dusted. However, I have two options, and I think I'm going to ponder them as I like do the small little jobs of cutting the bodice pieces and also fixing the bag. And that is, I can either work on the shoes next or the wig. So I've pulled out the wig, and I also have some extra hair wefts that may match the colouring of Froppy's wig, which would be good because this was a bought character wig, and so like the bow is not as full as what I would like it to be, and it also needs to be attached in a better way than it's currently attaching. Every time I've worn it, the bow at the back of like her, like, I don't know, it looks like a bow. It looks like it's a hair bow, like a bow made out of her hair. That piece always seems to fall off very easily. So I think I am going to find another way to attach it to the ponytail. And also Fantasy Froppy actually has like a braid that goes from the side of her head to the back, on both sides, I think. So I would like to have a clip-in section that I can take in and out depending on whether I'm wearing Halloween Froppy, if I ever wear her again, or if I do another version of Froppy. So I want to play around with that, and I also want to fix her fringe, because her fringe, I've developed my skills slightly, and so I want to give it a little bit more fullness and a little bit more of like an anime look in the fringe. So yeah, there's a few things I want to play around with the wig. But I don't know which one I want to do first, the wig or the shoes. Because the shoes need to have like flowers drawn on them and possibly have like a little collar flap thing with lace put over the top. And I haven't searched for the lace because it's meant to be pink lace. And I don't know if I've got any thin pink lace which would work. But I think I might have some pink dye and a whole lot of white lace. Oh, I really hoped that I'd get through at least one cosplay build that did involve dyeing. Anyway, I'm going to ponder it. I will come back and tell you what I've decided to do this afternoon later, when I figure it out. I did my bag. So it's a little bit later now, and I have fixed my bag. So now it is secure to my belt, and let me show you how I did that. And I have tried putting the weight of my camera and my phone in here because that's realistically what's going to be in this bag, and it fits. It's tight, but it fits. But I'll show you how I've done this. It was not rocket science, I can tell you that right now. So all I did was I took straps of the strap that came with the bag and cut them into long strips, and then I hot glued them to the bag, and then I kind of went over. I might do another layer of hot glue over these just to really secure them. Hot glue, it has its place, and because this is plastic, it is holding fine. I did try another way first, which was going to be a lot cleaner, but the type of glue that I used, it just was not adhering to the plastic fake pleather. But yeah, that's, I think, pretty decent. You can't really see it from the front, so I'll take that as a win. It's just, I do hate it when you can see glue, but I'd rather it be secure. And I mean, you can't see it when it's that close to my body, so it's fine. So now that the glue has fully dried, something very annoying. As soon as I opened the bag, the tops flicked off, and these come off very, very easily. This one has already come in, so I've just hot glued that back, mostly just to hold it in place while I glue the tops. Now, this seems to be the only super glue that I have left in the house, and it's old. I don't know if it's going to work anymore. I'm going to see if I can get to the glue. I'm going to try and make a hole through the glued up top, and hopefully I can glue it. And once that dries, then I'll rip off the bottom and I'll re-glue the bottom. But hopefully this works. I have just finished cutting out all the pieces of the bodice out of this beautiful shot taffeta fabric that's green with a red shot to it. And I have also cut out the middle piece out of this satin. Now it is a different fabric obviously to the taffeta, and there is a slight difference, and I want to see what this looks like together before I decide if I'm going to go ahead and keep this. It just, to me, the reference image looks like the centerpiece is a different type of fabric, that it's slightly darker, but I don't know if these two are going to work together. So I am going to kind of wait until all the flowers are on. I'll pin on the ribbons, and then I'll put these together before I probably sew it all up. And then I'm going to step back, have a look at it. If it is clashing too much, what I will do is I will cut the centerpiece out of the regular taffeta fabric and add that in. So it's fine. I've still got plenty of that fabric left. Now with the bodice cut out, what I'm going to work on after much deliberation between the wig and the shoes, I've decided to work on the shoes. So I have got here these high top white shoes that I think I've worn once at some point, probably for My Hero Academia cosplay, and I actually bought them for a Sakura Cardcaptor cosplay. I've got these and I'm going to change them. Now they're not ideal, like they're not perfect for Froppy's design. Froppy's design, it's basically, they're all meant to be flat. They don't have, you know, the massive elastics in the front, but I'm working with this, okay? So the very first thing I need to do is I need to create the little flaps that go on the top. So there's little flaps that fold over. They're very, very cute, but they have pink lace around the bottom, and I don't have any pink lace, but what I do have is I've got this white lace, and I've got just enough of it, I think, that would fit going around that. So I do need to pattern that out. I do need to color this. Now I did think I did have some dye that I could use, but no, I do not. I must have used it all on some other project. So I am going to do something that is really dodgy and I don't recommend, but I've done it before and I know it works, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my felt pens or felt markers that I've got up there, and I'm going to just go along and essentially dye this by, you know, the ink. So that's what I'm going to do. Because it's not a huge piece, it should be fine. So I'm going to do that, and the flap I'm going to create out of this. So this is just from my stash. This is some vinyl that was left over from Jane's corset, Jane Seymour's corset from 6, and I think it's a pretty close match. It's not perfect, but like this, look, it's all plastic. It's all plastic, but we're gonna make it work. They're not gonna be stunning and gorgeous, but they're gonna do. So yeah, let's make some flaps for some shoes, sew them in, and then I'll figure out how or if I'm going to get these flowers that are on the bottom of her shoes onto my shoes, because there's a whole lot of elastic and I don't really know if the paint markers are going to kind of work on the elastic. That's a later problem. For now, let's make the flaps. So I've gone ahead and I have colored in the lace, and I have done the mock-up for the flap for the top of the boot. So this is just calico. It took me like 3 shots to get this right, and I literally have just enough lace. I've had to cut it slightly shorter than what I originally had it, but I think this is more in line with the look that is the reference image. So yes, but I have just enough lace. Woohoo! So I'm now going to go ahead and cut 2 of them out of the vinyl, and then use my sewing machine most likely to go ahead and sew the lace down to the edge of the flap before I hand stitch the inner seam to the inner of the shoe. Because it's actually, I'm really happy about this, it's actually a fabric on the inside, so I will be able to get my curved needle and relatively easily sew the flap into the shoe. Last time I've done any kind of shoe covering, it's a torture device. It really is, because you're just constantly hurting yourself, getting pricked by all the pins. But it's fine. It's fine. It's gonna look great. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Hi, from the floor. The shoes are done. Look at them. Oh my goodness me. So I've got the flaps on with the lace, and I've gone ahead and drawn all the flowers on. I love them. They are so quirky, so much fun. Let me stand up. So yes, I think that they turned out very cute. These shoes are just gorgeous. They're very comfortable to wear. I will need to wear them with some socks. I am wearing them with nothing at the moment. They are a little bit narrower than my actual feet, but they are pretty soft on the inside, and they are flats. And they're meant to be flats because I can't wear heels. I don't do heels. And yes, if you watch a previous video, I did explain
That is not my fault, and it's not me being weak. It's actually because I have undeveloped ankles. Underdeveloped ankles. One of the joys of being a preemie baby. Woohoo! Anyway, back to the shoes. They are very, very cute. They turned out better than I was expecting. I was very nervous going into this, but I love how quirky they are. They're comfortable. So happy days, shoes are done. So the only things left to do are the wig and also the bodice. And as for the bodice, I got word from Play by Proxy today that unfortunately the printer heads which needed to be replaced, which was the issue why he couldn't print them straight away, the ones that were sent all broke. They were apparently like secondhand. So he's got a new order in, and the new order with new printer heads should be arriving early next week, which means hopefully I will have them by next weekend. I hope so. I would love to get this all done by the end of next weekend. That would be incredible. But it just means that for now I'm gonna have to work on the wig. No problem whatsoever. I'll pull it out tonight. I'll give it a good brush and probably work a little bit on it tomorrow. But yay! Cool! I have shoes! Yay! Good evening. It is Monday evening and I'm about to toddle off to bed. But before I do, I wanted to let you know what I got up to on Sunday, aka yesterday, and this evening after work. I did manage to actually pull out my wig and detangle it and find some wefts. Now I'm going to go into more detail about this tomorrow or Wednesday when I start working on the wig properly. But the wig is detangled, and I also managed to get all the glue that I'd put in the fringe out of the fringe, so that took a long while as well. But the wig is fresh, it is looking good, it's ready to be styled properly. This evening what I got up to is I decided I was not feeling in the right headspace to work on the wig, because if you've watched my channel you know I hate wigs. But I thought, you know what, I'll put the lining layer together of the bodice to kind of see what it all looks like together on the dress form, and it looks very cute. So this is just the lining, and at least now I can kind of visualize it all together, and it makes me very, very happy. So that is what we're up to. We're still chugging along, still no news about the flowers, but we're going there. Next thing will be the wig, and I have ideas. Hopefully I can pull them off. So it's the next day and I've flipped the camera around and we are going to talk about this wig. So here I have my Froppy wig. This is a character wig and is almost identical to how I bought it a number of years ago. I've worn it once or twice for my Halloween Froppy, and frankly she needs some love, she needs some care, she needs some oomph. So I have gone ahead already and detangled her because she was a mess, and I've also gone ahead and removed the glue that was in the front of the wig in this kind of section that I cut into a point. Now that's about where we're up to with this wig. So I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do to this wig to kind of elevate it a bit. And so it starts off with the base wig. Now normally I would consider adding some extra clips to kind of hold the wig onto my head a little bit better, because I do remember that this becomes a very heavy wig by the end of the day. However, I have since invested in a wig grip that will go underneath my the wig but over the top of the wig net, and I tried it out last night and she held so nicely, and I really couldn't feel the weight. It was just good. So I think I'm going to use that and not fuss around with trying to put some more clips into the base of the wig. However, that's about as far as the good news goes, because this center point thing is just not at all what I want. It is very like narrow, and I want it to be more full, but like the point to be very narrow, and this is a very thick point. So
I am going to go through and probably add a little bit more texture to the kind of top third to a top half of this, probably with my crimper, and then go through and brush it out and get rid of all of those bumpy lines. Now that I've had a bit of a test with different wigs with the crimper, I kind of have a better idea of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna keep trying until I get it right, and I might even leave the very top layer free from any crimping. But that will be able to give me the width up the top and then come down to the point. I may end up thinning out this point a little bit more with my thinning shears. That's what we're gonna do there. These little front sections are pretty much a-okay, that's fine. However, with this Froppy design, there is a little bit of a braid that goes from underneath these kind of side bang things to the back of her hair. But we're gonna come back to that because I wanna talk about the character wig as I got it. So her little like tie made out of her hair is this. This is like it. It is very disappointing. That's the best way I can put it. Like, I like this as a base, don't get me wrong. It is wired and it actually is very easy to manipulate, which is great for packing and, you know, traveling, because I'm gonna be traveling with her, right? But when I got her, she only had one of these crocodile clips in the back. So to try and make it more secure, I added another crocodile clip that's going the other way. Guess what? Neither of them work well. So my plan for this is to remove these crocodile clips, and I will be replacing it with a beret clip. So crocodile clips are obviously one-sided, kind of slide in and hold, where a beret clip is a latch. So this, I find, holds really nicely, and because the bottom of Froppy's hair has an elastic band and this sits on top of the elastic band, it's gonna hold its place really nicely and it's not gonna come undone. Fingers crossed, touch wood, these are stronger, so that is what I'm going to use. However, there is very little that I can do with this, and I really don't want to start harvesting hair from the wig. This is where my mistake comes in handy. You see, when I did Toff, in the reference image, I thought that there was a little bit of green in the hair, and I thought, oh, that's a fun little kind of highlight that maybe I can put into Toff's wig. And so I had a gift voucher, and I bought 2 more sets of wig wefts, and I tried them out, and they were terrible. So I decided that I wasn't going to use them, and I thought, drat, money down the drain. However, here they are here. So I got one that's short, which is this size, and then one that's long. So I've got 2 different lengths of these wig lengths. And happy accident, they're basically the same color. Like, you really can't tell too much that there's difference. This is maybe a smidge lighter, but it's green with black through it, just like this particular wig. So with the short pieces, I'm gonna go through, split them in half, sew them together so that they're like a grouping of wefts, and then I'm going to braid them, and I'm going to put them underneath this kind of front section and tie them at the back so it is like the reference image. However, because I want this to be a versatile Froppy wig, I'm going to make these removable, and how I'm thinking I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to sew 1 or 2 toupee clips to the edges of this, so I can actually click them into the wig, and then when I don't want to use them anymore, I can click them out. So for those who are wondering what a toupee clip looks like, just in case you are, this is what they look like. Whoop, woo! Try again. This is what they look like. They are tiny, tiny little combs that you literally click out, and then the comb at the back kind of comes out. You click it, it shuts, easy as. So this is what I think I'll be using because they're very, very flat. They're, you know, they're designed to not be seen and very discreet. So that's what we love. So we're going to use that. For the long wefts, we're going to bulk up this bad boy. So with the long wefts, what I plan on doing is divide them by half so that way I have equal amounts on both sides. And I'm going, firstly, I'm going to remove these so I have the whole kind of shenanigan that I can use. And hopefully I'll have enough that I can actually do the hair tie in the middle as hair. But what I plan on doing with the long ones is I'm going to crimp them slightly to give them a little bit more volume. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap them around the pre-existing structure and then roll them, you know, I'm going to wrap them around, sew them or glue them, and then wrap the hair around. Does that make sense? So I'm going to sew/glue the weft part, and then I'm going to wrap the hair, and I'm going to be hair spraying, got to be glued, it like the bejeeves out of it. And then once that's done, I'm going to add the beret clip. That is my plan. We shall see if it works. I think I'm going to do all the easy stuff first, and this is going to be the last thing that I work on. But to get this nice and full, that's going to look amazing. So yes, that is my plan to turn this very basic character wig into something that's a little bit more froppy-fied. Good evening. So tonight I didn't record anything because I hate working on wigs, but I managed to get the fringe into a shape that I'm happy with. It's a little bit wider and I've got the point quite narrow and it's away from my face so it doesn't actually like kind of get into my eyes, which was my main issue. The other thing I've gone ahead and I've done the small plaits that I put onto toupee clips that are now like hidden underneath the hair, hopefully. Hopefully you can't really notice it. There's like two bulges here, but that's okay. We'll just say that that's my head. But this is what it looks like at the back at the moment. So here are the plaits, or the braids if you're American. Australians, we call them plaits. I still have the bow to do, but I'm going to do that a little bit later. I'm actually going to put the wig away for a bit. Actually, I'm just going to pop it up, out of sight, out of mind, because you know how much I love wigs. No, the truth is that I got a message from Troy from Play by Proxy today, and my flowers are printed and they look so good. So I am going tomorrow night to go and pick them up so that then I can transfer them onto my bodice fabric and I can finally put together my bodice. So I will have a completed outfit and then it's just finishing off the wig with the bow thing. The hardest part of this wig, I'm pretty sure, but we're on target. We're on target. We're gonna get it done by the end of this weekend. Yes! So it's now Thursday night and Terry and I have just come back from Play by Proxy and look, we picked up our flowers. Ah, they look so good. I'm so happy with this. So the next step is for me to cut these out, place them down, and iron them on the apron and also the bodice. But I'm not going to do that tonight because I am very tired. I am just not feeling with it tonight. So this is going to be done either tomorrow or Saturday morning. I'm excited because I'm going to finish this outfit like it's going to happen this weekend. So I'm just putting the flowers onto my bodice and I can't find my HTV Ront, heat press. So I decided I'd just use my iron. Like, it melted the plastic. I'm just gonna let this fully cool down and try and peel this off. If not, I may have to reprint and see if maybe I can do the kind of transferring over at Play by Proxy where they have a heat press. Oh dear. This does not look good. I've just pulled off the plastic. It's okay. This one where it kind of melted around this particular one, there is a little bit damage to that particular flower, but it's passable. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to do the other side.
And then I'm gonna freak out about the apron. Yay! Okay, that side worked much better. So I'm gonna put these away and I'm gonna start working on the apron. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh god, there's a little bit of creasing where I think I burnt the fabric slightly. But you know what? I'm gonna hide that with ribbon and trim. It's fine. I'm just gonna tell myself it's fine, okay? The apron is now officially done. It looks so good. Thank you, Terry, for helping me with the flowers. Thank you, Play by Proxy, for printing them out. Thank you, Iron, for not destroying the apron. But yay! Ah, I'm so happy.
Good morning, it is Saturday and it is time to make a bodice. Let's go! I've gone ahead and I have pinned and sewn together the pieces of the bodice, at least everything except the front center. And that's because I wanted to do this to it. Let me bring it closer for you. So here's the thing, alright, I'm not sure if the light is picking it up well because it is so dark and stormy outside. It is only, what, 10:30 in the morning, and honestly it's just pouring down with rain outside and I'm making a summer outfit. Anyway, so here we have the bodice. Now I have the majority of the pieces cut out of that taffeta that is two shot, so you can see it's green and red. Well, it's green with shot red all over the mane of the fabric, like the back pieces and everything like this. And in my previous video I discussed that I was going to do the middle piece out of the satin, and when I cut it I wasn't sure if it was the right choice because I was like, oh, I don't know, will it look out of place? And when I like pinned it all together I was still like, I'm not sure, and I was like, you know what, let's just put all the ribbons on, let's just kind of see what it looks like. And then I did that and I stepped back, and you know what, I really like it. It adds a little bit of extra interest, and because there is still so much going on, it doesn't look like it's out of place. So you know what, I think that I'm going to go ahead and do it with the satin. And if people don't like it, too bad. It's my cosplay. What I need to do is I need to sew in that middle piece, and then I will go ahead and sew the side ribbons on and then start putting it all together. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because what I found the last time that I did a dirndl kind of pattern with the crisscross ribbon in the front, which was for my other Froppy dress, was that, and I think I've got the vlog for making that as well, so do check that out up there. But the thing that I found out was that the easiest way to get the ribbon really nice and perfect is to line up the seams with the lining layers and poke holes through and then sew the ribbons from the back side, so that way they are nice and taut and they're inside. So that will be one of the very last things I do, and I can try it all on before I do that, and then the very last thing will be this top ribbon. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's just do one section at a time. So starting with sewing in this piece, because at the moment it's just pinned, and doing the ribbon placement of the outside ribbons. So it's a little bit later and the bodice is now on the dress form, which I'm so excited about. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and I have got all the ribbons on there, the blue and the pink, which I think they look so adorable. And then the little trim up here, and like the lace down the bottom, and like the lace on the shoes, it's just, I think it just looks very authentic and I am absolutely loving it. I have also gone ahead and attached the outer layer to the lining layer, so they are all one piece now, and I've gone ahead and I've put in the back zip. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to do a little bit of hand stitching just to neaten up a few little bits, like the back zip. I've got to cut that off and obviously tie it back, and also the shoulder seams need a little bit of work, but yes, the end is in sight, and after I do that, then I can do the ribbons and then the trim, and then the bodice is done. So watch this space because I will need to put her on to kind of position the ribbons, but can't wait.
The bodice is on my body. It is so German. Yes, I think with the ribbons and everything, it definitely gives that vibe. And with my wicked pants, I feel like I'm some sort of German Emerald City kind of fan. I don't know. There's lots of green going on at the moment. So what I need to do next is I have my ribbon. I'm going to kind of pin where I want the crosses to go. The reason why I'm doing this on my body is because I want the ribbons to be taut while I'm wearing it. And I feel like I would possibly run into an issue if I try to do the ribbons flat. That is what my gut's telling me, and I think that's what I found the last time I did something like this with the last Froppy one. So I am wearing her. I'm going to pin the ribbons where I'm going to have the crosses. There are 2 crosses that are in the reference image, but I think I'm going to do 3 and just take a little bit more into the waistline. I mean, the skirt sits right up here, so it will cover that 3rd one. But just in case it slips down, I want it to kind of, you know, continue. Like I don't want the illusion to be shattered just because my cosplay moves slightly, you know, out of frame, so to speak. So I'm going to grab my ribbon, and I also have got the ruffle as well, just to make sure that once I pin it, it's all going to look good with the top ruffle as well. But oh, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. It's done. So the dress itself is done. I've even got the shoes on, but obviously this is not a full reveal because I have still got the wig to do. But let's just talk about the bodice for the time being and how it's all sitting. In short, I'm loving it. It's actually really comfortable. I've got so much movement. Like, yeah, I can squat, I can lift up things. I even have a bag that's functional. Like, oh look, here's my phone. There we go. It's now my person. Yay. I am loving it. I showed Terry because obviously he helped me get into it. And he was like, I really like that. I'm like, yes. But as you can see, the bodice is now complete. Only 2 of the crosses are seen as we thought it was going to be. And the flowers are hitting exactly where they're meant to hit. I'm very happy about all of this. I really, really am. It's nice to have a functional costume that feels good to wear. So hopefully I can make the wig look really good as well. I've just got that one hair bow thing left to do, and then Froppy will be done. Good morning, it is Sunday and hopefully the very last day that I'm going to be working on this cosplay, because as you saw yesterday, the outfit is done. So now it is time to do the very last little bit of the wig, which is the hair bow. So this is what it looks like currently. This was just what came with the character wig. It's alright. It's not great. I mean, it is, what I love about it though is that it does squish down with the wire underneath, so it is easy to pack with. And I do want to keep that aspect of it. And you know, it's nice that I'm able to mold it and whatnot to whatever size. However, the bow itself is very thin, and the closure, like how I connect it to the actual wig itself, is so flimsy. So the first thing I'm going to do is rip these off with sheer brute force, hopefully, and then I'm going to start working on the wefts. So I have here from Epic Wigs, which is where I got the top wig from, and then I had the extra green wefts from. I am going to get this extra long piece of green wefts in this green black, which matches. I'm going to crimp it all, and I'm going to comb it so it's nice and full and luscious, and then I'm going to break it in half, cut it in half, and then allocate a half to each side of this. Somehow I'm going to make it all work. That's my plan. It's not a very good plan, but let's start, shall we? Alright, so first things first, let's try brute strength to try and take these clips off.
Oh, they cut in. All right, there's one. All right. Oh, this one is potentially not working the way I want it to work. Oh no, it's taking off the ribbon. Oh, okay. All right, okay, no problem. We're fine, we're fine, we're fine. Maybe I'll just cut the ribbon. All right, cut the ribbon. Yeah, there we go. Okay, brute strength for the win. Now to get onto the crimping of the hair, which is gonna be very boring. So I'll see you once that's done. So this is why I am crimping. So this, on this side, the left side here, that is with crimping and creating that texturized look, where this is straight out of the bag. These two pieces are exactly the same width and amount of hair, but you can see just how much fuller this side actually is. Now, truth time. I have been crimping wigs for a couple of years now because I just love it being that little bit more full, but I really hate wigs and I'm not particularly good at them. And one of the feedbacks that I've had on a few of my wigs is that it looks like, you know, you can see the crimping mark. It looks a little bit like ramen noodles. So I kind of looked into it and I'm trying a few new tricks which involve firstly crimping them and then going through and running the crimping straight through the hair to kind of even it out a little bit, then going through and crimping it again, doing it again, going through, and then doing little random bits of crimping just in some places that look a little flat, giving it a brush through a few times throughout the process, and essentially just stepping back and just kind of assessing before continuing, but essentially doing at least 2 passes and then a few little extra quick nips throughout the hairpiece just to kind of give it that full look. So that's what I'm going to do with the rest of this hair weft goodness, but I just wanted to share that because as I'm learning, I want to pass that on because there might be someone in the same kind of boat as myself. I'm halfway through and I thought I'd give you a bit of an update. This is how it's looking. So much fuller, especially down the bottom here. The other thing is that at the top it is still a little bit dense with the noodles, but I'm not too worried about that because I plan on wrapping it around in like a spiral-like kind of shape, so you're not really going to see this. And also, theoretically, the very tops of this should be at the very base, so I don't think that that's going to be an issue. This is mostly what I'm looking at, but yeah, that's why I crimp. So much more volume. I have finished wrapping all of the hair around it. It's so much fuller than what it was. It's not very, like, it's not super neat at the moment, and I'm okay with that. So I have kind of glued the edges down, and then I have also glued with E6000 this beret clip, which I will also add some stitching to the sides as well once it's all glued, but I do need to let that set. So I'm going to wander off for about an hour and then come back, finish that all off, and then I will get the steamer and some hairspray and try to fix some of these flyaways, but we're almost there. The wig is now complete. Okay, so this is the front and this is what the back looks like. Ta-da! Really hope that's on the right way. I do find that the bow keeps twisting, which is annoying, but you know what? It's secure enough. So yay, I'm very happy with that. I think, yeah, that's it. That's cool. Cosplay is done. Yay! So now let's cut to it all together. Movement. It's fabulous. And there we go. Froppy is complete, or rather Fantasy Froppy.
I feel so insanely cute in this outfit. Like, it's functional. It will be very cool to wear during summer conventions because frankly it's winter at the moment and I'm freezing. Realistically though, I know that I could also use this as a winter outfit if I wanted to by putting on some leggings, which the reference image kind of does show, but I'm foregoing for that for comfort reasons in LA summer, where this is going to be debuting. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Anime Expo, it's one of those cons I've always wanted to go to, so I'm super pumped about that. But getting back to this outfit, shall we? So if I wanted to make it winter, I could add, you know, some stockings or leggings, and I could also wear this with a petticoat. A number of people have suggested that I put a petticoat underneath this. I am not going to do this for this particular wear, because I want to be comfortable wearing this. This is a comfort cosplay. The only thing that's uncomfortable about this is obviously the wig. And because I've got my wig grip and all of that, it's not too bad, to be honest. It's just a little bit heavy at the back. So I think that when I'm not like posing, I'm just gonna kind of hold my hair bow like this, just like this. And that relieves some of the tension off, you know, the wig. But honestly, it's minor. In comparison to other cosplays that I've worn, it's very minor. But like, let's talk about this outfit. So yes, it's cute. I think I've mentioned that a few times, but I really love the shape of this on my body. Now, what I mean by that is that with the puff sleeves and with the flare of the skirt, you know, it does kind of give me the illusion of having more of a defined waist, I think, than I have, because as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm built like a rectangle with a few curves here and there, and I have a very long torso for someone who's 5'4". So I don't have much of a squish in the middle. I don't have much of a defined waist. And it doesn't matter whether I'm a size 10 or a size 16. This is the case with my body. I have seen myself in every different type of weight that, you know, as an adult that I have had, and it doesn't matter what weight I am. It's just, this is my kind of body mass makeup where my bones end sort of situation. I can't help that. But saying that, I also know that I am probably a little bit heavier than what I have been previously, and you know what? For the most part, I'm okay with that. I'm working through that, and I don't think that your weight should ever dictate to you what cosplay you should do. And Froppy has been on my list for such a long time that I'm so glad that I'm bringing her to life and I get to wear her to Anime Expo. She has an amazing amount of movability. Like, I have no Disney princess's arms. I have full range. Oh my goodness me, it's great. I've got a functional bag on my hip, so it's not even over my shoulder, which is amazing. The skirt is so full that, like, I can squat, I can move, I can dance, I can sing. Well, let's not sing, I don't want to hurt your ears. But you see, the thing is that this is just a really good cosplay in terms of being comfortable at a convention and doing guesting stuff, like moving around a convention quickly, or bending to look at hems, or, you know, just anything that has to happen when you are a cosplay judge slash guest. And honestly, it's a very comfortable cosplay. I can't think of a cosplay that I've made in the last little while that has been this comfortable. Nope. So I personally think that I'm going to be getting a lot of wear out of Froppy. You know, Anime Expo will be her test run, but I can see myself bringing this to a number of conventions, like ones that I just want to slap something on that I know that I'm going to be comfortable throughout the day. The only thing is, of course, the wig, but let's test run it in NAX and we'll see how we go. My favorite thing about this cosplay is probably the details. The details and also the skirt. Like the skirt, the fact that it's so like blah 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 blah, and it's a rectangle skirt, it still makes me very happy to like flounce about in this. But I love the details on this. I love the apron with the flowers.
I love all the different types of like vintage trim that I've used. So like the trim on the blouse here, and then the different ribbons that are all floral on the bodice to kind of keep it all moving and working together. All of these are vintage trims that came from my late grandmother. It was in her stash, I took them, and I'm finally using them in a cosplay. And I love using trims and lace and fabrics that was in my nan's stash, because my nan taught me how to sew. And honestly, every time that I use a little bit of her stash, I feel like she's sewing with me, and I miss her every day. So I'm not gonna get emotional. I'm not gonna get emotional. But I'm glad that I have this fun cosplay that makes me excited to wear it. And it has a bit of Nan in it. Oh my god. No, not crying right now. Sorry about that. I'm also really glad that it's got a functional bag, and I will road test it when I'm at the convention. I mean, so far I've put some stuff in there while I've been wearing it and it hasn't broken. The super glue seems to be holding, which is nice. But yeah, like I'm glad that I've got that as well, so I don't have to carry a backpack, because if I wore a backpack or a handbag, the handbag I would only be able to wear on my left shoulder because I've got this, and I can't wear a backpack because of my very long wig. So I'm glad I've got this. The things I don't like about this cosplay is I hate the fact that I messed up the flower on, I think it's the left side, especially the top one. I had the iron too hot and I held it over the place, and that's why it melted the plastic and the transfer didn't go on as nicely. I now know this, and there's a few little issues with the ones on the apron and on this side, but this is the worst one. I also don't like the fact that these ones on the bodice look so much darker because it's on darker fabric than the ones on the apron. I think the ones on the apron look so cute, but these ones yeah, they didn't transfer as like brightly as the ones on the apron. But I will say that is like my only thing about this that I really like am like, blast. The rest of it I'm really happy with. I would also say that I'm really proud of myself for challenging myself and trying new techniques with the wig. You know, I'm still not fabulous at wigs at all. And they are still a challenge, and I still very much hate them. I hate them so much. But I'm very happy that I've been able to do like this fringe with just steam and hairspray, and I'm glad that the bow looks a lot more full than what it did. Look at it, it's so full. But it's not the neatest, I will say that. It is passable, it is not the neatest. But I am glad that I've been able to get my crimping technique a little bit better, a little bit smoother, so I have the volume but without the ramen noodle look. So we're getting there when it comes to wigs. Okay, so that is my review of my cosplay. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. Please, in the comments, if you've made it to the end, give me a ribbit. You know, let me know that you did it. I love reading that. It makes me go, yes, love you. I would also like to thank my amazing patrons who have kind of helped me throughout this entire process as I'm sharing my work in progress photos with my close friends list, which they are all on Instagram, and them cheering me on and also helping me choose things when I get confused. Thank you, patrons, so much, especially the $10 a month tier patrons, who are
Justine Ghosty, Fangirl X, Sam M, Monica, Lula Alamode, Miss Twisted, Mithril Teacup, Barbara Lee, Trash Guardian Cosplay, Mother of Cats Cosplay, Rogue Threads, and Connie.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this part 2 of making Fantasy Froppy. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next video.